two cities so consumed by their own wickedness that their very names became symbols of sin. Sodom and Gomorrah were once thriving places full of life and wealth, but beneath the surface lay darkness and corruption. In this story, we'll uncover the fate of these infamous cities and explore why they faced such a dramatic and fiery end. What happened that led to their downfall? Let's dive into the mystery of Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah, famously destroyed by God, are among these twin cities rank among the most recognized locations for many Christians. Their stories are set in the time of Abraham and his nephew Lot, as narrated in the book of Genesis. These cities are infamous for their complete destruction by fire, a consequence of their extreme sinfulness and wickedness. God's judgment on Sodom and Gomorrah was absolute, leaving no remnants of life, buildings, monuments, or even trees. Few cities, either before or after, have experienced such a definitive and total fate due to their actions. This raises an important question. What did the inhabitants of Sodom and Gomorrah do to deserve such swift and severe punishment? What were their sins? In this episode, we are going to answer these questions. If you watch until the end, you will learn why sodomy is used to describe the activities of male homosexuals, and whether homosexuality is the main reason God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. The answer will greatly surprise you. Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed by the steady hand of God. Sodom and Gomorrah was wiped out by God. It was due to their sins and repeated tendencies to ignore God's warning. In the remainder of this episode, we are going to list the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah, tracing to Genesis, Abraham and Lot, where Abraham pleaded God not to destroy the city of having 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 righteous, but his efforts were in vain as there were no such number of people in Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham tried to plead with God that there must be some good people in the cities. After some negotiation, God agreed that if 10 people could be found in the two cities that have not succumbed to the wicked nature of the inhabitants, he would spare the cities. For just 10 righteous people, God said he would not destroy the Sodom and Gomorrah. Apparently, there was no such luck because he ended up destroying the cities. When angels who assigned the job of destroying city reached Lot, was at gates of city and he offered them house. When the two men went with Lot, the people in city saw them and want to see them. Lot was appalled by the wickedness of the men of Sodom and Gomorrah and tried to protect his guests. He even offered his own virgin daughters to the mob instead, to placate them, even though the action itself is an abomination in the sight of God. Still, the men of Sodom and Gomorrah were consumed by their own passion. They wanted only to defy the male guests. Lot was determined to prevent the men from committing such shameful and sinful acts against his guests. But he was running out of options, as the men started to threaten harm against Lot and his family. They were going to break down his door and come to rape the men in his house. Seeing Lot's futile resistance and impossible predicament, the angels decided to act. They struck the mob with blindness, preventing them from attacking Lot and gaining entrance into his house. Soon after, they then led Lot and his family out to escape the impending destruction of Sodom. At dawn, the angels hurried Lot, saying, "Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest they be consumed by the punishment of the city." Lot's wife, disobediently curious, looked back toward Sodom and was turned into a pillar of salt as a result. Biblical story of Lot and the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. After Lot and his family were led to safety by the angels, the Lord rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah. The cities were completely destroyed under God's uncompromising judgment. Why city faced God's wrath? The 5 unforgivable sins of Sodom and Gomorrah. 5 reasons. In Genesis 18:20-21, God mentions the great outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah due to their grave sins. This cry came from those suffering under the weight of wickedness in these cities. Genesis 18:23 shows Abraham asking God if he would destroy the righteous along with the wicked, indicating the severity of Sodom and Gomorrah's corruption, which left no hope for redemption. Sin number 2, idolatry. Although not explicitly mentioned in Genesis, Sodom and Gomorrah likely engaged in idolatry and the worship of false gods. Those who commit wicked acts without remorse demonstrate ungodliness. Jeremiah 23:14 compares Sodom to corrupt Jerusalem, highlighting the moral decay of both cities. Sin number 3, Homosexuality. Some believe the only reason for Sodom and Gomorrah's destruction was homosexuality. While it was one of their sins, it was not the sole cause. Although the Bible views homosexuality as sinful, the main issue was not just the act itself, but the sexual violence and twisted desires that prevailed. The terms sodomized and sodomy come from this story, representing various perversions. Key verses like Leviticus 18:22 and Jude 1:7 emphasize the moral failures of the cities, which indulged in sexual immorality. Sin number 4, idleness. Idleness may not seem like a sin, but Ezekiel 16:49-50 describes Sodom's guilt as pride and excessive comfort without caring for the poor. Their abundance led to aimlessness, neglecting their duty to help others. This attitude can foster arrogance and sin, similar to the residents of Sodom and Gomorrah. Sin number 5, pride in sin. The people of Sodom and Gomorrah did not just sin, they reveled in it and boasted about their wrongdoing. They became deaf to the warnings of the Holy Spirit. Isaiah 3:8-9 describes their defiance against God and their open acknowledgement of sin. This pride culminated in the story of Lot, whose home was surrounded by a mob demanding to harm the angels sent to warn him, illustrating the depth of their moral depravity. Is this story really true? Evidence supports the historical events that occurred around 4,000 years ago. Many scholars believe the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were located near the Dead Sea, as the region's salt flats and sulfur-rich terrain offer significant clues. Over the years, archaeologists have identified several ancient sites along the southern edge of the Dead Sea that may align with the biblical descriptions. One key site, Tal el-Hammam, has garnered considerable attention from researchers. Evidence indicates a powerful destructive event dating back to approximately 1650 BCE. The ruins reveal signs of intense heat and a mysterious layer of ash. The destruction layer includes melted pottery and burnt stone, suggesting temperatures that would have been unattainable with the technology of that time. Additionally, the sulfur found at the site is remarkably pure, capable of burning hotter and faster than typical sulfur. It's possible that these sulfur deposits ignited during the catastrophe, contributing to the impression of divine wrath. Ultimately, the tale of Sodom and Gomorrah serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of our choices. Let's choose wisely. Thank you for joining me in uncovering the mysteries of Sodom and Gomorrah. Let's continue to seek wisdom from the past to guide our future.